I still remember my son's 10th birthday because it was the last birthday his mother ever celebrated. Emily had been fighting breast cancer for nearly 2 years. The doctors tried everything: chemotherapy, surgery, experimental treatments, but every appointment seemed to steal another piece of the woman I had loved since college. She never complained. Even on her worst days, she smiled for our children. The morning of Andrew's birthday, she insisted on baking his favorite chocolate cake herself. "You only turn 10 once," she whispered, even though she could barely stand. I begged her to rest, but she refused. Watching her decorate that cake with shaky hands remains one of the hardest memories of my life. 3 weeks later, she was gone. For months, our house felt frozen in time. I learned how to braid my daughter's hair before school, burned more dinners than I care to admit, and spent countless nights pretending I wasn't crying after the kids had fallen asleep. Andrew changed after losing his mother. He stopped laughing, stopped talking, stopped calling me dad as often. The grief counselor warned me everyone mourned differently, so I gave him space. I blamed myself every single day anyway. Years passed. Emily's birthday became a quiet family dinner. Christmas became smaller. Life slowly found a new rhythm. Then Andrew met Jessica. At first I thought she was wonderful. She encouraged him to finish graduate school, helped him find a better job, and seemed to make him genuinely happy. When they married, I welcomed her into our family without hesitation. But little things started changing. Whenever I mentioned Emily, Jessica quickly changed the subject. If old family photos were on display, they quietly disappeared during her visits. She once smiled politely and said, "It's probably healthier if everyone focuses on the future instead of living in the past." I told myself she meant well. I wanted peace more than anything. When Andrew invited me to his 35th birthday party, I was genuinely excited. He said everyone would be there: friends, co-workers, neighbors, and both families. "I want you there early, Dad," he said. "It'll mean a lot." Hearing those words filled me with hope. Maybe all the distance between us was finally disappearing. I spent an hour choosing a birthday gift, bought the expensive bottle of bourbon he'd admired months earlier, and even wore the navy blazer Emily had always said made me look distinguished. Driving to their house that afternoon, I honestly believed I was about to get my son back. I had no idea that before the cake was even served, my entire world would fall apart. Andrew's birthday party was everything you'd expect from a successful young couple. The backyard was decorated with elegant white lights. Expensive catering tables lined the patio, and soft music played while guests laughed with glasses of wine in their hands. Jessica greeted everyone with perfect smiles. She looked like the ideal hostess when I arrived. She accepted my gift with one hand, barely looking at it. "Just leave it on the table," she said before walking away to greet another guest. I brushed it off. Maybe she was just busy. Andrew hugged a few friends as they arrived, but when he saw me, he only nodded. "Glad you made it, Dad." That was it. No hug, no handshake, just a quick nod before someone called his name. I quietly found a chair near the patio and watched the celebration unfold. As the afternoon passed, I couldn't help noticing something strange. Whenever someone mentioned Emily, Jessica immediately redirected the conversation. One of Andrew's old college friends looked at a framed family picture on the fireplace. "Your mom had such a beautiful smile." Before Andrew could answer, Jessica picked up the frame. "We're redecorating anyway," she laughed, carrying it into another room. Something about that bothered me. Then came the birthday speeches. Jessica tapped her glass with a spoon. "I just want to thank everyone who has supported Andrew through every stage of his life. He's become the incredible man he is because he chose to move forward instead of living in the past." Several guests applauded. I stayed quiet. A few minutes later, the birthday cake was rolled onto the patio. 35 candles glowed in the evening light. Everyone gathered around. Someone shouted, "Speech! Speech!" Andrew smiled awkwardly before looking around the crowd. His eyes landed on me. For several long seconds, he just stared. Then his smile disappeared. His face twisted with anger I'd never seen before. He pointed directly at me. "You shouldn't even be here." The backyard fell silent. I slowly stood. "Andrew." His voice exploded across the yard. "No, you don't get to pretend anymore." Guests exchanged nervous glances. Jessica walked beside him and wrapped an arm around his shoulder. "It's okay," she whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Just tell them the truth." Andrew's breathing became heavier. Tears filled his eyes. "You killed Mom." The words echoed through the backyard. Every conversation stopped. Every fork froze in midair. I couldn't even breathe. "What?" I whispered. Andrew stepped closer. If you had made her stop working, if you had forced her to rest, maybe she'd still be alive. Jessica looked at me with cold eyes. I've always believed some people bring bad luck wherever they go. Then she added quietly, and unfortunately, your family paid the price. The guests stared at me as if I were suddenly a stranger. I realized someone had been filling my son's head with lies for a very long time, and I was about to discover just how far those lies had gone. No one spoke. The only sound in the backyard was the soft crackling of the birthday candles melting into the frosting. I looked at my son, hoping he would realize what he had just said. Instead, he kept staring at me with anger in his eyes. I spent years believing Mom died because cancer took her, he said. Then Jessica showed me her old medical records. She talked to nurses who remembered her. They all said she kept working until the very end. I swallowed hard. Your mother kept working because she wanted to. No, Andrew shouted. You should have stopped her. You were her husband. Jessica crossed her arms. Some people are simply too selfish to protect the ones they love. Those words hurt more than I expected. I took a slow breath before speaking. Andrew, do you know why your mother kept working? He didn't answer. Because every paycheck she earned went into your college fund. His expression changed ever so slightly. Do you know why I worked weekends for 15 years? Silence. So we could pay for your baseball camps, your first car, your education, and every dream you ever had. The guests watched without saying a word. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out an old folded envelope. I've carried this with me ever since your mother died. Inside was a handwritten letter. Emily's handwriting. I unfolded it carefully. My dearest Michael, I began reading aloud. If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. Please promise me one thing. Never let Andrew blame you for my illness. I chose every extra shift because I wanted our children to have opportunities we never had. You begged me to stop working more times than I can count, but I refused. If anyone is responsible for my choices, it's me, and I regret nothing because every sacrifice was made out of love. By the time I finished reading, Andrew's face had turned completely pale. He looked at Jessica. You told me Dad never tried to stop Mom. Jessica hesitated. I only repeated what I thought happened. You said you had proof. She couldn't answer. At that moment, Andrew's aunt stepped forward. I was there, she said quietly. Your father fought with your mother for months, begging her to quit. Your mother was stubborn. She wanted to leave you both financially secure. Several relatives slowly nodded. Everything Jessica had built collapsed in front of the guests. Andrew's eyes filled with tears. He looked at me, then at the letter still shaking in my hands. I'm sorry, Dad. His voice cracked. I believed something that wasn't true. Jessica reached for his arm. Andrew, let's go inside. He gently pulled away. No. For the first time all evening he looked directly at her. You spent years convincing me to hate the only parent I had left. She stood speechless as the guests quietly walked away from her. Andrew slowly walked toward me, without saying another word. He wrapped his arms around me and cried like the little boy who had lost his mother all those years ago. I miss her, he whispered. I know, I replied, holding him tightly. I miss her every single day. That birthday party ended much earlier than anyone expected. Jessica left before the cake was ever cut. A few months later, Andrew filed for divorce after discovering she had manipulated far more than just his memories. As for me, I didn't feel victorious. I simply felt relieved, because after years of carrying guilt that never belonged to me, my son finally knew the truth. And sometimes, the greatest justice isn't revenge. It's watching the truth bring your family back together.